I'm going to drive this one through the air environment again. I still had not ironed out all the bugs, but away we go. Welcome to Oscar, Steve, and I think that's Martin Dumbrell. This topic here is the topic where you can vote on. I had a run with myself and I shared it to myself, so hopefully you guys can involve a little bit deeper in the feedback. But we'll get the presentation underway, and from that point on, we'll cross across if we can to you guys as we go. So I'll just start with today's presentation. Basically today we are focusing on virtual reality for business. It's topic 5 in a series of presentations that I've been making to a few very generous participants. We've got some consistent guys that come in, which is great. Oscar and Martin being those. Steve's new to the group, so hopefully we can engage in a presentation of value for your time, and I could continue to get much better at this this program. I like the concept of this from a training mechanism, so I'm really going to try and persevere such that we can use this in our business and leverage the content. All right, so basically I've got the ability to allow people to engage at this stage. Martin, you are currently muted, so I can't hear you. Are you in the environment, Oscar? No. Steve, can you talk to me?
Just muted.
No mic. Can you try and respond, Steve?
Test 1 2.
Beautiful, terrific. That's what I wanted to see. All right, so we have got an environment and the control room is working. All right, so Martin, I noticed you're on mute, but that's okay. All right, so let's cut across to the presentation for today. And please, if you've got any commentary, please feedback on the fly. All right, so a recap of the previous Hangout we did. It was a Hangout surrounding activity-based workplaces. The point of that Hangout was to say that the world is changing grossly because of technology and the desire of people to work in a more flexible work environment. With the new kids coming through the workforce, they are a mobily connected and but yet disconnected workforce, and they have a high inclination to be able to work flexibly and to work in environments that give them the ability to use social media and the like. So we are seeing a growth in the environment of activity-based workplaces. I actually heard your mic there, Oscar, at least the movement of the mic.
Hi, Courtney.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very, very good. Very good. Nice for you to step in again, and nice that we can get an interactive Hangout on air this time.
Indeed.
So, multifaceted approaches to achieving that around storage, access to storage or remote storage, the ability to access the tools, so be that mobile, desktop, whatever. Certainly trying to link in human health around that design. So we talked about things like fitness applications like treadmills on office sites, and there's reading more about that, there's a growing trend to see executives and boards working at the offices on treadmills. So it's an interesting thinking. And then of course you need the enablement, which is the applications. Payback was about 5 years plus in large organisations. I think it can be a little bit more in smaller organisations, but certainly some value in that. There's a video presentation here that you can certainly link back to, and I'll share this presentation with those that have joined today. All right, so today's topic, we are talking about a new technology out there. Well, it's not actually new when I did my research. It's been around a long time, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. There was lots of peaks and troughs in the VR world. We saw players like Nintendo back in the day playing with virtual reality gloves to engage in their gaming systems, and we had a number of players basically in the 80s trying to build a burgeoning industry out of this. Unfortunately, the technology didn't allow for quite the nature of where it's achieved to today, and it seems like that's a bit of a topic of my conversations. The technology enablement probably in the last 3 to 5 years through manufacturing, compute capability, etc., has gone skyward. So I think these types of technologies like wearables and like will see massive uptake in the next couple of years. A question, can you see me on video, guys? Or you just see can you just see the screen?
Just the screen.
Great, all right, no dramas, that's fine, so I can cut across to my ugly head later if we want to engage. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a video. This is a little bit of a reactionary feedback to the Oculus Rift. This video is about 6 months old now, so it's a little bit old in tooth, but it's a good one to see the reactions. And if anyone has actually had a chance to play with this tech, we are talking about a tech that does make you feel like you're in the environment. So we'll just watch this for a second and we'll take from there.
The sound on that one?
You okay with sound?
Yeah, there's no sound coming through.
No sound coming through, right. Still no sound?
No.
Technical glitch 1. All right, sound on videos. So they're talking about being freaked out, that I'm starting to get a bit nervous now, that's not real fun, don't like that, etc. So, but you can start to get a feel for what the technology delivers to the human. It is a true virtualized environment. So I'll stop that. So yeah, so let's talk about the VR. Quick background. We're playing with it at the moment. We have a piece of kit which I'll show you at the end of the broadcast, which is a little forward-facing screens or eye viewer that allows the Note 4, which is what we're using in the office at the moment, to be able to turn into a virtual reality machine. Samsung's delivered some technology around this. There's a few people that have delivered similar technologies. Of the cheapest is cardboard from Google, which you can have a look at later. So a bit of history. There was a whole range of utopian ideals in the VR universe with a small crew of inventors. There wasn't much money or monetization in this through the last 20 years. And it was basically the late 80s and 90s where it started to see some essence of reality, pardon the pun. There was certainly a chasm between the experience and the subtlety of the real life environment or feel, and that's probably something that we're seeing move to current day through a gentleman by the name of Palmer Luckey, who launched a company called Oculus Rift. If you read the environment, the question marks are whether he leveraged IP out of one of the universities in America and happened to just drive it at a time that it was viable. But needless to say, $2 billion later, we had a small company called Facebook buy into this tech with the view of using it for new and unclear reasons. If you think about the socialization aspects of Facebook and certainly the interconnectedness that Facebook is trying to achieve, I think obviously that's about morphing the real world into the virtual. So we're talking, what was it called? That environment, Half-Life, or what was it called? Steve, do you remember?
Doom 3.
Yeah, no, it was not Half-Life, not Doom 3. It was when they tried to create that virtual space where you had avatars and all that sort of stuff.
Second Life? Second
Life. Yeah, which phased out in the 90s, but I think we'll see a resurgence of that moving forward. So here we are. We've got Facebook highly invested in this. I think the future is going to be that the costs have to drive down. So in order to achieve that, we need to basically see a reduction or a simplification of the way in which we engage. One of the ways that Samsung is doing that is driving it through mobile phones with super high-res screens. So the Note 4 is the first of its kind. It's got 2K res, and that allows you to have literally 1 inch from face VR. I've downloaded a few apps and I've played with those. They're pretty freaky. and the stuff is real. You feel like you're walking off the edges and things. The practical reality about this space for commercial for me, and my analogy to this after doing some reading, is that it's very easy for us to remember where everything is in our world. We're spatially oriented people, we're spatially oriented in our makeup, but when it comes to doing things like searching file storage or remembering where you stored a file, we're not so great. So if there is an opportunity for virtualization around that work environment, that is engagement with our environment, so you can imagine Google taking this on, such that your Word documents are visible in a sort of a swipe and view 3D world. Steve showed me something a little while back around that. Then I think we're talking about a bit of a change in the way in which we engage with our work environment. So it could be pretty cool moving forward. What are the potential? 2015 obviously is going to be a big year because Facebook's going to probably launch an application or some sense of their play to market this year. The ones for me that are standing out in my reading were training, marketing, manufacturing, and health. In the sense of training, the big ones were that potential to walk around and engage in potentially hazardous or high-risk sites, to be able to solve problems in a virtual world as opposed to a real world, and obviously then take that into the field. So we talk about reduced cost through the implementation of those sorts of strategies. We talk about taking the training curve up at the front end. So someone's commented, sorry, I think that's Martin's end. So you can see my presentation, Oscar, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's in the wrong, he might be in the wrong thing. I'll share the link to him, sorry. This page, it's your mate. All right. So then the opportunity then is to engage and quickly identify with and build up a training environment that replicates reality, where you can get something that could happen in the real world to stick. A bit like the thing I mentioned before, the analogy about spatial orientation. The same thing applies. On the flip, we have an opportunity for marketing. So in the marketing world today, we have this connotation of products and services. So industries like property, real estate, which you're in, Oscar, and the like, have a great opportunity to take people on a journey. It's certainly something that I believe can be done cost effectively now. We've met a couple of companies in Victoria that are doing some of the video with the 360-degree cameras. And so if you had a premium property, $1 million plus property, and you wanted to engage with someone at the sales office, Stiggles, hello Stegs. This is VR for business. You could theoretically take someone on a fully rendered tour of that site. The flip now is that with a push to obviously international buyers, with a push to international buyers in real estate markets and the like, the ability to take people on a journey on their own mobile phones, that's the next step, and I think that's a really interesting time ahead. Steve made some comments, and please feel free. He texted me privately, but please feel free to make comments directly, Steve. There is obviously air and aviation, which has been using this for years, so I think that's another area. Manufacturing is an interesting one. They're talking now that they don't do any manufacturing in the heavy cost world of aviation, motoring, or anything like that without doing virtualization. So we are seeing a high level of virtualization in the prototyping and development stages, design, and that's saving hundreds of thousands of dollars and reducing typical 7-year car cycles down to 2 and 3. So pretty exciting times ahead. And the one that doesn't really affect me, but obviously affects the market, is e-health and health. and they're talking about virtualizing surgery and making sure that doctors, when they hit the tables, have actually lived and breathed the surgery in a way that is real and allows for them to increase their training potential. I've put a connection there to a very interesting article from Forbes, so if you wanted to have a look at that, please feel free. All right, so we need to make this thing real, and so how do we make this real? I think the practical reality is, you're right, and that's a great post there, Oscar. They have talked heavily about the ability for post-traumatic stress and things like that. So you've jumped in, and that's perfect timing. So we talk about this promise of virtual reality. I think it has always been enormous, but it's not been real enough. I think we've crossed the chasm of reality to block images. Having said that, Minecraft exited for 1.6 billion on block images, so you can't be too many complaints there. But you put these goggles on now, you can do it anywhere, anytime, and the phones are the enablement layers. Of course, Oculus has embedded themselves, or Samsung has embedded themselves, Oculus being the first to market on that front, which is a pretty cool place to be, because you can do it in the office, you can do it anywhere. There was some commentary around what Oscar commented on, which is around the use of cognitive and motor rehabilitation for post-traumatic stress disorder. So the military is investing big money in VR at the moment, and the resultants are positive in regards to bringing people back from scenarios where we don't want them to go in the first place. The thinking is that this will be a pure consumer product by 2020, and that is due to our good friend Moore, Mr. Moore, who believes strongly that the type of thinking around compute power, screen res, and all of those sorts of things will allow for this to be enabled pretty quickly. The interesting one where there's big money, and one of my good viewers who unfortunately can't attend today and found some struggles, in Martin Dumbrell, massive money in the visualization and virtual reality for instructors in complex maintenance tasks. And so when we talk about complex maintenance tasks, we talk about high-level safety requirements, dangerous situations, and where there's a high technical component to that task. Not different really than surgery, to be honest. One's got electrical risks, and the other one has heartbeat failure risks. So we're talking about being able to get people up to speed in a rapid manner.
Courtney, with the article I just posted, they actually state that they use the VR headsets for training under fire for the medical surgeons, so they can have experience in dealing actual battlefield surgery.
Wow.
Missions.
Wow. So you go and take a Medico out there that flips out in the battlefield. You remove that that feeling. What's the other term for that? Deadening the senses.
Yeah, building the tolerances.
Yeah, tolerance levels, amazing. So yeah, I think there's going to be lots of places this lands, and it's really up to the individuals and the companies to look at their businesses and consider how they could add value. The commercial applications are, of course, on-site training and the ability to reduce risks and cost, and then on the flip side, marketing, so customer walkthroughs, product reality demonstrations, and those sorts of things. In health, it's the virtualization of surgery and other activities around the health task, and to make the task of learning visually appealing, which I put in the presentation there. Education of linking through to training. Obviously, the educators are looking at how they can link this through to a whole range of elements. As you say, stressful environment, tolerances, certainly looking at trying to ensure that the task of education can be done in a classroom in a low cost way before people hit the high-end, high-cost environments of real commercial requirement. And then it removes the high barriers to safety. It's funny though, because again, as you read about these things, in one of the Oculus forums when I was doing my research on this topic, they basically said there was about 15 big mining rig drivers that came back around the conversation of this, and they were saying unless they get the feeling of the shudders of the pistons of a Caterpillar V1000 driving through the chassis of the engine. It's not real. The other one is they don't know what it's like driving around a cliff face in the dark, in the wet, and the like. So yes, I totally comprehend. There is nothing like the reality, but certainly, as you say, Oscar, to improve the environment, to be aware of what you're stepping into is better than going from zero to hero. So I think there's some great opportunities there. Manufacturing is seeing huge payback. You know, when you talk 7 to 10 year life cycles of the 80s for car manufacture to now 2 to 3 year life cycles, although that hasn't quite landed 100% in the manufacturing world, it will. And if you go and have a look at some of the prototyping done, and even if you have a look at the way in which the gaming developers have engaged with the manufacturers around designing virtual cars for gaming, you know that gaming in its own right lends itself to the opportunity for young kids to take themselves from the lounge room to the Formula One track. It has happened, it will continue to happen. And then obviously the simplification of prototyping. The question is, could this be used in your business? I would have to say in our business, we will not be looking at using it in our business, but to present to the market that it is a technology of value. We're looking at partnerships at the moment on where we can provide basically the tools to basically deliver some value back into business. It's very, very early days. It's certainly something that I think will take probably the best part of 3 years to land in any real fashion. But we are looking for clients out there that have some sort of a vision around this, and we can add some value because we've started to play in a reasonably solid manner. So what I will do now, guys, is I'll try and swing back to a quick VC. Is there anything that anyone would like to add to the conversation? Have I lost the audience?
No, we're here.
Okay, good. So that was no then. That's fine. All right. Well, we'll close the conversation with that. I'll stop the broadcast. That was certainly more engaged than the last. I will look into the video side of this next time in regards to making sure sound content goes through. We had a couple of technical glitches with people that haven't had technical glitches before, so I look forward to getting that finally resolved. And please, guys, enjoy your day. And if you've got any commentary, please add it into the Hangout such that we can grow the conversation. Have a wonderful day, and sayonara.
You too. Thanks, Courtney.
See you guys.